All right, my loves, welcome back to the story behind the story. I am Sierra Melcher. I am the founder of Red Thread Publishing, helping women to write their books, find their voice, publish their stories, and get these stories out into the world to really reach the people who need them the most. As always, we have weekly interviews with women, female authors, and today Melissa is joining us, and today's a really special day. Melissa, why is today a special day?
Today is my launch date, which is so exciting. It's very surreal, and I'm so honored to be here on this day talking to you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. I'm so glad that you're here. Every conversation is different and unique, and I'm so excited to be connecting with you on this day, because you're experiencing right now the moment that every one of our clients and every aspiring author looks towards, and you're sitting in this day. So one of the things I want to talk about today is the journey that got you here, and maybe we could just also create a little time capsule for you so that into the future you can commemorate and recognize this moment in time and look back on it, because this isn't the end, right? This is the beginning. Until publishing, it feels like the end. This is the goal, but it's the day that the rest of it starts, which is just so cool.
Yeah.
So talk to us about your journey and your book.
Wow. Well, our book is titled The Journey to Myself. So it has been quite the journey. There is 9 authors, so I'm a co-author of this kind of, book that has 9 different stories in it, which is really, really beautiful. And I never in a million years expected this journey to be, I wouldn't say as challenging, but as transformational as it was. It was interesting when I sat down to write my story, what came to me. And it was like I put like my life story pretty much condensed. And so it was really transformative, because I thought I had processed so many things in my life, but going back to them actually showed me I had so many wounds. I had these kind of pockets of pain that really needed to be uncovered. So it was a very healing process. It was really powerful. I was talking about, one thing I was talking about a lot was the childhood abuse I went through. And I'd never spoken about it. I'd never talked about it really to anyone. So it feels very vulnerable that it is now being shared. But it also felt really in alignment with just the story, the progress, the path of what has led me to where I am today. It was just such an experience. I've never experienced a transformation like that. And I'm a transformational coach. I mean, it was really, there was days where I just couldn't even, it was so hard to sit down and write. It was so hard to just get through it. It was so hard to continue to keep going back. Sometimes it's like, I'm just going to burn this. I'm just not going to do this. I can't do this. There's no way, there were so many doubts, so much fear, so all this stuff coming up that were old wounds that really were trying to catch me in that old story. But I didn't let it. And I'm just so grateful that I'm here on launch day and that I said this story in my heart that has been there for such a long time and really was ready to come forward.
This is so incredible, and this is part of why it's really important for women to be writing their stories, publishing their stories, sharing their stories, because of the transformation that happens for an individual. Like you said, I thought I had dealt with that, right? I thought I was done, and there's some other dynamic of bringing it to the light in such a significant way that allows you to do the last part and really stand on the other side of an experience after you've written it out, after you know that it's going to be seen. And instead of like hiding it in the dark and sort of, if nobody knows, then it you know, doesn't have to have happened, but you're still carrying it with you.
Yeah.
And so this, whether we're writing about things that are traumatic or not, writing and publishing is the most accelerated personal growth, professional growth, spiritual growth, transformation, shit show, circus, whatever. Like you said, like, I'm not going to call it, you know, challenging, but like it was challenging.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where transformation happens. And to say like transformation happened without going through all of that,
Yeah.
I don't think it's fair to transformation. And it's not fair to the people who are at the beginning, middle, or, you know, in the process of like, yeah, it's hard. It is hard. And so I always ask authors to share a tool or a piece of advice. And you've already referenced something that I think is really important, of the how hard it was to keep coming back, but you did. And the only difference between people who want to be authors and the people who are authors is that, and I showed up no matter how hard it was in the middle. And so not that your recipe is going to be a perfect match for somebody else, but if you could talk to us about what made the difference, what allowed for you to keep telling the story, to not burn the pages, to like submit the chapter and be like, yes, you can publish this. Oh my God, what the hell am I doing? Like, talk to us about that, because that's the only difference between people who want to and people who have.
Yeah, I think that's a really beautiful point, because, you know, I had thought about writing for a very long time. I think most, I mean, I would say women authors, but probably men. I think most authors, you know, they think about it, or it's within them for a very long time. You know, I have wanted to write a book, a screenplay, a million things for such a long time. And, you know, I think I really kind of got clear with my intention and kind of my goals for the year of what I really wanted to achieve, to look back and be like, you know, this year I did some of the things that have been within me for a long time. And, you know, I was amazed at how the process just manifested, because I think I said you know, I kind of just said something to the universe like, all right, guys, you know, I really want to tell my story. Please show me how to make this happen. Like, what is that going to look like? I don't know. And because I felt like I really needed help in creating that. I think a lot of people, you know, for me, I think the big piece of why it seemed so overwhelming was like, if I was just to do it myself without the help of kind of a publishing or, you know, editing or things like that, that would have, you know, that was challenging for me. Editing.
It's totally epic. And if you don't even know, like, there's the how,
Yeah.
right? Like, I don't know how, but I also don't know what is involved. Like, I don't know, right?
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, I know, but I remember before I wrote any of my books and before I helped other people do it, I was like, I don't know. I don't know. How do you, I don't,
Yes.
and yes, you can Google it, but it's also like, you can Google it for like 7 years. And
Yes.
right.
And, you know, and that's a thing that I've learned on my path recently, you know, in becoming a coach and kind of just understanding the value of support, understanding the value of working with someone who really is like an alliance, that is like, you know, whether that's a coach or a mentor or somebody, you know, I had never had that type of support before. And when I, you know, got my certification to be a coach and actually like had worked with one and realized like, wow, you know, you don't have to do it all on your own. Oh my God, like my world really started to change, because I was like, you know, you could wait 7 years to write a book. Like, that's great on your own. And I understand that's a process. Or you could connect with, you know, someone like you or the publishing company that I've been working with, you know, that has done it, that knows, that can guide you through the process. So I think that that was a big piece for me of, in moments when I was just going up in flames. I remember my editor, who also owns the publishing company, we had a shared Google Doc, and she had sent over edits, and I basically was just rewriting the entire thing. I just was ripping it apart, and she saw me in the document and basically wrote said, you got to get out of there. You're overthinking it. You got to take a step back. You need to trust yourself. You got to just, you're losing the rawness of what, you started with, because you're overthinking it. So I want you to just take a step back, look at your edits, just come back to it in a few days, let it go. And that was a big help, So I think a big part of getting past that point was just kind of having support around me to be like, look, I know this is a process. I know it's hard. You're doing great. Trust yourself. It's okay. Because I was talking about, abuse and drug addiction and all these things that were so raw and vulnerable. And it was really, really hard to believe in myself, to just not think this is shit. So, and the community of women involved in this book, I think there's 9 of us. And so it was really like a sisterhood of encouraging each other to do that. And if you don't have that, that's totally okay. It's not that you can't write a book or be successful in being an author without having that. But I'm very grateful that this was kind of my beginning step, because I think it helped me build the confidence to know that it's possible. It helped me show okay, you're not that strong in editing. It doesn't mean that you're not a great writer, but you can have someone help you with that part.
And so I love what you're sharing, because it's demystifying a lot of things. I think so many women go in of I need to know it all. I need to be able to do it all. I need to be able to do it all by myself. I need to do it all by myself with grace, and a smile. And if any of those things aren't happening, then I'm not a good writer and I shouldn't do it. And all of the the obstacles pile up. But look at any book on your shelf, any book you've ever read. There's an acknowledgements page, and it's usually 3 pages long. And it's just a list of 100 people who helped the emotional part, the logistical part, bring the book to life. And that there's maybe one name on the cover, but that does not mean one person made that book. A whole city made that book over a longer period of time. And as soon as we can recognize the ease, even if it's a messy, falling apart ease, but the triumph and the support that comes from having a team, from collaborating with other people, whether you're doing a collaborative author project, which we love, because like you said, it's a great sort of first run, right? It's a great start, because today you are a published author and nothing will ever take that away from you. And it's going to start sinking in, and today it's new and exciting, and then tomorrow you're going to wake up and be like, no, this is who I am. And so it unlocks this what else can I be? What else can I do? Who else can I become? And it's just this floodgate of, and so you can write your solo book because you've also been through the process, and you're like, oh, I recognize this meltdown. This is the right meltdown to be having at this phase, right? One of our authors, the day before the book came out, I don't know how you were feeling yesterday, but the day before her book came out, she was like, oh no, honey girl, we're not doing this. No. This is the second book I've put out this summer. And because she's like, my first book was so successful, and I'm afraid the second book will be really not successful. And everyone will just be like, oh, well, her first book was good. She went through this whole thing, and she's like, and you should use this, and you should share this with your other clients, and you should teach them how not to do this. And I said, no, this is exactly what needs to happen. This is the day before publishing, and this is the experience, and I don't want you to miss it. because tomorrow, in comparison to today,
Yep.
you're going to feel like a fucking $1 million because you did it. And I don't want to eliminate the obstacles for people, because that's where the transformation happens. Every time I put a book out, I feel sick, right? There's like I just feel sick for a day, but I know that that's what to expect, and that there's nothing wrong with that part of the process. So now you can do anything. You can write more books, you can write a screenplay, you can go to the moon, you can do whatever you want, because you went from I've always wanted to, but I don't know if I can, to I fucking did it already. Right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
having like experts who can support you through that, but also having peers who are going through it and be like, yeah, I feel you. I'm right there right now with you. Um, and sharing in the process. I think for far too long, certainly publishing is seen as an exclusive thing, a very prestigious thing not everybody gets to, and you only have to be this right kind of person to get to publish, and then you have to do it all by yourself.
Yeah.
And I call bullshit on all of that, because it's no longer true. If it was ever true in the past, it is no longer true, and we don't have to hold ourselves to that expectation.
Yeah, I think, yeah, when I write, because when I write my solo book, which I'm gonna do and I'm really excited about, I think the first thing I'm gonna do is find that team, because I think I just, I just so appreciate having that support, and just feeling guided and and encouraged, like really encouraged along the process. And this really showed me that. I mean, that you really don't have to do it alone. And I think that was a huge lesson for me in my life, because for so long in my life, that's what I thought I had to do. It was a survival tactic. It was like, I kind of, like my childhood and just the way that I was raised and the chaos around me, the way that I survived was kind of, figuring out how to survive, always having to do it alone, always putting my head down, always surviving. And, that was a pretty hard and painful place to be, because it really cost me a lot of I wouldn't say cost me my dreams, but in a way, I feel like it could have been easier, And so I'm very, very grateful that that this was the beginning, like you said. And I definitely yesterday was having a meltdown for sure. It's like I was like crying and thinking to myself, oh my God, I can't believe I put that story out there. I don't know what I did. Why did I talk about this? My parents are gonna read this. They're gonna know about the abuse I went, like I was definitely having a moment. But then, I woke up today and our collective was sending all these beautiful and really funny, like little celebratory gifts, and just and I was just beaming today, because this is a great day, and I'm so happy to be here.
Well, and having this bigger context too, of like the meltdown was right on schedule. You're exactly where you need to be, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? The transformation is partly looking at the story you thought about, like, oh, I thought writing and publishing would be like this.
Yes.
My experience happens to be different,
Yeah.
but hearing that your experience is right on track, it's exactly what it needs to be, and that just because your perception or assumption or expectations of a thing don't match your experience doesn't mean there's anything wrong at all. Like, this is the process. Because I think of every book like a baby, and there's a new life that's being brought forward, and it is very much like giving birth in a lot of ways. The gestation, the inner thing, and then like now it's out in the world, and it's precious, and it's vulnerable, and it's all of these things. But I also think about all the people in the world who need what you just went through so that they can hear what they haven't heard before.
Yeah.
Right? For the people, the younger version of yourself, for the person who's in a similar place and hasn't gotten to where you are now.
Yeah.
It's like the thread that's going to pull them forward. It's going to give them that collective. Like when we read other people's stories, we become friends.
Yeah.
We become like, we have a team. I consider the people that I read, I consider them friends. They don't know who I am, all of them, but they've become part of my community because they've let me have their story. And that's what you've just now done for countless people. And you don't have to know who they are to know that what you just did was a really powerful act.
Thank you. That really touches me. And, when I was writing the story and it kind of started going into just like the abuse and things I had never talked about and drug addiction and, all these things that I had never really spoken about, what kept bringing me back to it was imagining a younger version of me or a young girl or a woman or somebody reading that story and just being like, wow, if she can change her life, if she can overcome this immense struggle and change and, live where she is now, I can do it too. And that was really the purpose for me. That was like my driving force. That's what got me through burning the pages. That's what got me through the tears and the doubt and the fear, because I know that my story, I didn't go through all of it for no reason. I've always believed that, it's to serve and help others. I didn't go through all this pain just to not use that to transform it to help somebody else. And so that really is what brought me to getting through it.
That's one of the common themes that comes up for navigating the blocks. It's when we're stuck in the process of telling our story, it's because we're in this me and my story context. And one of the things that I teach is, who needs your story? Who needs what you're struggling to get out? Because when we focus on that person as women, and I think as humans, we'll show up and do anything to help someone out, right? And earlier you said like writing helped me heal my own journey. And it does. It's this twofold thing. But if you're just caught in this internal space, we don't always have the strength to navigate that. But when we can really focus on the audience and who we're writing for and how what we're doing can be of service to others, we're like unstoppable. Like, get out of my way. I'm taking care of somebody I will never meet. Like, and it's epic. It's amazing. Just to wrap us up, is there anything else that you want to say about your book, your process, your work in the world?
Yeah, I think, kind of in my process, my healing, my transformation really led me to the work that I do today, which is wanting to, I'm a visibility and transformational coach for women. And it's to really help women feel confident in sharing their stories, sharing their gifts, and coming into the world. And I think this process for me writing was just, it showed me so deeply that, when we're given permission to do that and we're held in that space, that we really, truly, and deeply can do anything. And so it just really sank into my heart to just, recommit and be like, I love that. I love this work, because me personally, having gone through it in such a deep level, I understand how scary it is and how overwhelming it is, and how our past, can so much continue to define our future if we let it. And so my chapter for this book was your past no longer gets to define your future. And basically saying, in a summary, kind of all the things that we've gone through make us who we are. And, what if your hardest moments could be your greatest gifts? And how can you transform that to come and help and serve others? And so this process has really shown me that, and I'm just so excited to be an author, a published author today, and just that my path and journey has led me to the work that I'm doing now, because I feel so connected to it, and I want to help more women find that confidence to share their story, because I think it is one of our greatest gifts, and so I'm very very optimistic and excited about this project and just the future, and it's been an amazing process.
I love it. I love it. I'm going to wrap us up there, but I want to leave the listeners with this message that if you have this calling, if you've heard in yourself that you have something that you want to write, then you're not alone. You don't have to do it alone. And there are tools and people and this community itself to support you through all of it, through the emotional stuff, through the logistical stuff. And the story in your heart not only can transform you through the telling of it, but have countless, absolutely countless benefits for people you'll never meet. And it can absolutely change your life and the lives of the people around you. So take that step. There's a woman in our community, and she's in our story incubator right now, writing her book. And I asked her, how long have you wanted to write a book? And she said, 35 years.
Oh my God.
And she's writing a book, and that's it. And so it doesn't matter, how long you've been wanting to do this. What matters is when you start. So reach out to the community. We're always here. Every week we have a different female author on, sharing her tools, her books, her wisdom, her insight. Melissa, thank you so much for joining us. Can't wait to read your book. And,
thank you. Yes, thank
talk
you.
Again soon.
We launched today, and again, the name of the book is The Journey to Myself. And it's a very inspiring collection of female authors, all discovering and talking and connecting about their transformation and deep healings in the world. And, it's very inspiring. So I hope that it lends some inspiration to each and every one of you. And thank you so much for having me on today.
Absolutely. I'll make sure that the link to that book is in the show notes, so you can reach Melissa and find her book just by checking in the show notes.
Yay.
Thanks. Have a beautiful day.
Bye.